Hello everyone, I'm Sophie and I'm currently at Kechara Forest Retreat, Bentong, Malaysia. And sorry for the last session, actually the ending it should be that the Buddha is not a god as shared by the content of my sharing. So I made a mistake at the end of it. So the correct one is the Buddha was not a god. And today I'll be sharing on how can Buddhism help us. But first, I was wondering if anyone has guessed who the statue was of, the statue that is behind me. This is the statue of Truku Drakpa Gyaltsen. And to his right is Buddha Rajayogini. And to his left is Buddha Manjushri, a rare form of Buddha Manjushri, which Rinpoche dreamt of and has, when he investigated, found of his existence. So it is a very rare form. Let me go to the scene, how Buddhism can help us. As you see in our corporate world, or in our samsara world, the pictures on top, you see pictures of people in very stressful situations, and at the bottom, that is how Buddhism can help us, the results. So Buddhism can help us in many ways, and for today I will only touch on some of the ways that Buddhism helps us. Buddha himself has gained enlightenment 2,500 years ago from 3 aeons of virtuous practice taught by the Dharma, the teachings of the universal truth of existence or reality of nature. Buddha himself has saw, sufferings in the world in form of an aging man, a dead corpse, and a sick man. So with compassion, he left his luxurious life after, he saw the ascetic and was told that the ascetic has renounced the worldly to look for answers out of suffering. So Buddha himself, with compassion, left his luxurious life as a prince to find answers to overcome the sufferings. And finally, at age 35, he left the palace at 29, and in 6 years, at the age of 35, he gained enlightenment after overcoming Mara, the evil demon who actually wanted to claim Buddha's enlightenment for himself. Buddha, at that time, was meditating under the Bodhi tree, and Buddha requested the earth to bear witness with his, to his enlightenment. The earth answered and banished Mara, and Buddha managed to, gain or managed to see the true nature of, the truth in nature and our existence, and all the laws, the natural laws that he is able to teach, in 84,000 ways or methods, to gaining enlightenment or freedom from suffering before he entered parinirvana at the age of 80. So the foundation that Buddha has taught is actually the Four Noble Truths, which teaches us to recognize that we are in suffering. Actually, there are some people who do not recognize that they are suffering, and in my there was one girl that when I was quite new and was trying to share the Dharma with her, and I wasn't, my knowledge was not was very, very, very shallow, and she was arguing with me that she was not suffering because everything, she was like very comfortable and she did not see herself in suffering, and because that was the first truth that we need to recognize, to actually, in order that we may want to understand, what causes our suffering, which is the second, and then to establish the wish to end our suffering, the third noble truth, and finally, to learn the method and put it into practice to be free of our suffering, which is the fourth noble truth. But the thing is, if you do not see even the first truth that you are suffering, then what incentive will you have to actually continue on to the other three, which was to actually go on the path to gain the attainments or the practice, to practice until we are released from suffering in enlightenment. So at that time, I did not have the knowledge, or to actually convince her, well, to share with her, so I'm glad that now at least I have some that I hope that maybe at in the future when I do see her, that I'll be more convincing. So then at least she may understand that this world is actually still full of suffering, because there is the ultimate, which is the death, that a lot of people dare not face. Okay, in understanding, as I mentioned, that in understanding the Four Noble Truth, people can be helped to overcome their problems, and no matter what situation they encounter, the peace of mind can be achieved, to approach matters with an objective view. So from young, we grow up ingrained by our parents, our friends, our colleagues, and most of all, the corporate world with their consumerism marketing. Everywhere you go, there's always advertisement. You watch a movie, there's advertisement. You drive on the road, there's billboards of advertisement, telling us, this is good for us, this is how we should be, live, and all those things. So, and then, from young we are told that we will be successful, we have to be successful by their rules, which, like our parents would want us to have good grades, to climb the corporate ladder, be the boss, get married with maybe 2.5 children, and to have big cars, big house, fat retirement funds to travel, etc. And these are all, ingrained into us, as we grow up. And yet, many who has achieved that certain success are actually not happy people. How often have you heard people complaining, about their husband or their wife, and how often have you heard people complaining about the stress, in their competing for the high position? And how often have you heard of people constantly feeling bored and having to find new things, new places, new restaurants, or new environments, and yet never finding satisfaction? Even those who are very rich and living like kings and queens are really not happy. They're always stressed, having to keep their position, to be immaculate, to look good for others. So in Buddhism, one is able to find the understanding of impermanence and the source of our real unhappiness, or that constant yearning that is in our ignorance we tend to find all sorts of things or ways to fill, but never ever able to. So whenever we feel unhappy, we now know that it is not permanent. We will understand that in deep attachments, we will become unhappy if we no longer have it, which means that if you have a big house and, as you know that everything is not permanent, you may lose it one day, and if you have deeply attached to it, you only create that unhappiness within yourself if you are not able to let go. So Buddhism will teach us about impermanence, and that if we do not let go, then that is what creates the unhappiness within us. And we will understand how our egos will bring unhappy situations, because we will be expecting others to conform to our ideals, and we are not willing to let them win. So you already learned that in your parents expecting you to have good grades, that is conforming to their ideals, and you're not happy. So then why do you expect other people to do the same for your own ideals? So, and also we will understand that in our ignorance, our views on many matters are actually quite wrong. So sometimes the part where you do not let others win is like, does it really matter that you win the argument and make everyone unhappy? So why not just let the other person win? And even though if you are right, it is only a moment in that time, and why have the ego that you need to win, so, and create that unhappiness? So as such, Buddhism will teach us to let go of having to win, or having to let our ego win. So how can Buddhism help us? So in Buddhism we learn about karma, the law of cause and effect, where our actions of thoughts, speech, and physical actions will create the results that we live in. So as such, we are the one to have to take responsibility of our own actions and create the conditions that we wish to live in. Buddha has taught of cyclic existence, where we are born, we live through life, we die, and then in reincarnation we start the whole cycle again and again and again. So as such, depending on the karma that we have created, we may be born in good conditions, where necessities are easily available, such as like the US, the Europe, or even in Malaysia, everything we find is easily accessible. We have clean water, we have electricity and all that. Or that if you are born in places where living, sometimes there are a lot of people who are born in places where living is so difficult and dangerous, such as Sudan or Afghanistan, where war is constantly going on, and it's so difficult to get running water or even having electricity. So in understanding karma, we are able to understand that our present situation, which we are in, is actually due to actions that we have done or taken in our previous lives to create such conditions. And so most importantly, we have our future lives in our control, as it depends on the karma that we create towards that. So for example, if we suffer from constant misunderstanding by others, even if we are doing things with good intentions, then we understand that it could be that in our past lives, we have told lies to create the karma of distrust. So as such, we are constantly being misunderstood. So in knowing that, we will wish to practice holding truth in order to not suffer the same conditions again. So that is how karma will be able to help us, in creating the conditions for our future. And Buddha has taught that that it is actually in others that we are able to gain true happiness. That it is that in making other people happy with genuine motivation and without expectations that we gain our own happiness. Because we gain happiness from knowing that we have made someone happy, and also without expectations, because we will not be disappointed if that somebody did not return the favor. So in understanding reincarnation, with that we have gone through many cycles of lives and have experienced lives in the 6 realms of samsara, which is the God realm, the demigod realm, human realm, animal, ghost, and the hell realms. And then we will truly, when you truly understand that, then you will understand that everyone and every beings around us have at some point, in our incarnation, been our mother, in our previous lives, and has actually given birth to us, have taken care of us, and have loved us just as the mother in our current lives. So as such, if you were able to see that, then you will of course be kinder and more caring towards them. So, and at the same time, we will understand that others, even animals, wish not to suffer, and which is the same as us. And as such, we should generate kindness towards them, and in doing so, connect to our own true nature, which the Buddhists often call the Buddha mind, the Buddha nature. An example would be like how often, you look at baby animals, that, and it just brings out that gentleness, that care in you. And that is, I often say that animals actually brings out the kindness within us, because we often see that they need our help in taking care of them, like such as like a stray dog, who is so hungry that you feel sorry and you want to feed it. So that is that nature that wants to help. That is our true state of our nature. So, and also so actually there is many other ways that Buddhism can help us in our lives. In Buddhism, there's 84,000 methods towards gaining freedom from suffering, and the way that we wish to live in is actually within our control and responsibility. So due to my short sharing, this is only up to this stage that I'm able to share in, and I really do hope that you will find the interest to explore more into Buddhism, because it is basically not a religion. It is actually the way that we are able to live in, to bring out our true nature, to be happy, a happy person, and to create the conducive environment for others to be happy in. So with that, I will end my sharing today. And sorry for the lighting, it's a bit dark here. Maybe it's the angle that I'm sitting at. And I do hope that, and I wish to thank you for joining me for this session. And I'll end this with a completion dedication, and hope to see you for the next session. Jangjo Senchu Rinpoche, Maki Panam Geyushi, Gepanam Pame Payang, Gone Gondo Pewasho, Tony Towa Rinpoche, Maki Panam Geyushi, Gepanam Pame Payang, Gone Gondo Pewasho, Dasojini Sapagi Wadi, Dandandroa Gunagan Padang, Jepa Jesu Nosantrapai, Tampingi Porin de Sa Se, Sho, Gewa Kuntu Yandala Madan, Dramichoki Palalo Joji, Sanam Nangi Yoterasone. Toje jangi opanga tuso dewa di yudada lama sangkyu ne dewa chika malupa de sala gopasho choki kya pusungka pa josuna pape wala ge kisa masiwadang choki malu sangwasho dadam sangi desendan dewa songi latene ge wala santrapai tampa yo riva gyushi ni modele sendele di minggu nyandele shi ni sentato dele pa kuncho songi jingilo kuncho songi ngotuso kuncho songi trasi sho Jason nama kusen rapting ching nam country ni chocho ke padang lo something pin drum is songi drawing mun sata to ni gyu shi gangwe rawe ko shin kam den ben dan dewa malu gyu ni cheren sit one ten sing get so yi shape shi de baru de gyu shi hom tom pe ngot ro malu pa den de dala sal du so ko dan den pa long chot nam ke pa so shik shuk den sal. Again, I apologize for the dark, a bit, I think it's a bit dark here, but it was an ad hoc, at a moment's decision, because I would like to share with you the statue of Tuku Drapa Gyaltsen. thank you very much for sharing with your time with me, and I'll see you for the next session.